Let's welcome in our morning guest. Avinash Gorashkar is now with us, as well as Vijay Chopra. Good morning, gentlemen. Vijay, let me start with you first. What are your picks?
I would like to recommend 3 stocks for today. My first call would be MCX. The stock closed at 1351 yesterday. I would recommend a target of 1375 and a second target of 1400 for the stock. One should keep a strict stop loss of 1320. My second call would be Crompton Greaves. The stock closed at about 85 rupees yesterday. The short-term target for the stock is 90 and then the second target is 100. Although a strict stop loss of 80 is recommended on the stock. My third call would be Shalimar Paints. The stock closed at 190 rupees yesterday and it could be bought for an intraday target of 198. My second target for the same is 205 and then 210. A strict stop loss of 180 is recommended on the stock. Thank you.
Right. Avinash, what are your calls?
Pankaj, we have been recommending 3 stocks as investment stocks to our clients. The first is KEI Industries. In fact, the company is a well-known cable and electrical player, and we believe that a very good set of numbers in the Q2 has come in. We have a target price of 160 here. The other stock is LG Balkrishnan. It's a prominent auto component player operating in the two-wheeler segment. We believe that earnings growth as well as valuations look attractive, and from a year's perspective, the stock could trade at 810. And the third stock is a frontline housing finance company. We like Indiabulls Housing Finance. We believe that not only the loan book growth, but the asset quality is pretty strong, and we look at a target price of 900 over the next 6 to 12 months.
Samit, first, if you could tell us about your calls for the day.
See, we have 3 recommendations, out of which 2 are on the short side. First one would be on Maruti. After 4 to 5 days of consolidation, we witnessed a breakdown from rising wedge pattern on Friday. Yesterday, we saw subdued movement in the stock. But going forward, we expect the stock to remain under pressure. Our immediate target in Maruti would be around 5600 or 5550. So any bounce would be a shorting opportunity. 5820 can be placed as a stop loss. Our second sell call would be on BPCL. In last 5 to 6 trading sessions, we have seen a decent correction in the stock. However, yesterday the stock managed to give a decent recovery from its lows. But if you look at the daily chart, 660, 665 seems to be a very strong resistance. And going forward, we expect the stock to correct towards 630, which would be our near-term target. 672 can be placed as a stop loss. And our solitary buy call would be on CRISIL. If you look at the daily weekly chart structure, this stock has been maintaining its high top high bottom formation. Due to recent correction, this stock has managed to reach its important support level of 89 EM. Thus, going ahead, we expect a decent bounce from current level. Our immediate target in CRISIL would be around 2350 and stop loss can be fixed at 2140.
Right. Vishal Mankan is also now joining us. Vishal, what would be your calls?
I would like to go with 2 buy calls, and both of them are on the same price. One of them is L&T Finance, which is trading at a multi-year high and sustaining above that important resistance of 100 with good volumes and momentum. Hence, I go with a buy with a stop of 99 for targets of 112. And second would be Jain Irrigation, which again is showing a good pattern on weekly and monthly charts. And I would go with a buy on that with a stop of 98 for targets of 110 for the next couple of weeks.
Right. We'll wait and watch for these names. Vijay, let me just come to you for ICICI Bank. How would you read into the numbers? 8,000 crores is yet not a small slippage number. However, you think the street had already expected that numbers would be bad, and that's why it may see a positive reaction based on the NPA guidance?
Well, overall, if you ask me, about 7% of gross NPAs, it's not a good number to have. And ICICI Bank happens to be the largest private lender. So I think that as far as the slippages and NPAs are concerned, they've not done a good job. We've seen a marginal increase in the profits. But again, as you said, that the street has already discounted this news, and markets are expecting such kind of slippages, and we have already seen a great crack in the all the bank prices. So I think that the street should give a thumbs up, and we can see 290, 295 levels coming on ICICI Bank. So again, not a good set of numbers, but again, I would say that it's already discounted in the price, so we might see an up move of about 5 to 10 rupees today.
Right, but ICICI Bank, the discount to peers already factors in these sort of negative news flow, or probably after Axis Bank people were worried that ICICI may also not deliver.
Well, I think that the problem is with the entire banking system. On this, if you look at private banks which are smaller ones, IndusInd Bank, DCB, Yes Bank, they posted decent set of numbers. But as the size increases, now ICICI Bank had a huge exposure to the steel sector, to the textiles sector, where a lot of problems are there. So I think that with the recovery of SR Steel, which has happened to some extent, there would be some process already in place where the bank is working very hard on the recoveries. So I'm sure that in the due course of time, in the next couple of quarters, we can see the numbers bettering. And as the economic scenario improves, and if we see things happening for good in the US, I'm sure that ICICI Bank would post good numbers to a couple of quarters down the line. My target for the bank is about 350 in the medium to long term. So again, I'm fairly hopeful that ICICI Bank would be able to come back and regain its past glory. But again, as far as this quarter is concerned, I believe that NPAs are a tad on the high side.
Right. Avinash, what would be your view on ICICI Bank? You think good set of numbers, or the street had already discounted these numbers?
No, I think Pankaj, if you look at the numbers of Axis Bank, I think these numbers were definitely a shade better than Axis Bank.
So in fact, relatively better.
Of course, I mean in that sense, relatively better, and I think clearly, the profit growth was not the main, key factor to watch. I think the management commentary clearly indicates that the watch list is going to come down. And that is very important, because if you see the profit this time, it includes a large other income from the ICICI Pru issue. So profit apart, I think the asset quality numbers, hopefully in the third and the fourth quarter, could see a further kind of gradual drop, and that is something the street is looking forward to. I would say that FY18 would be a year where some significant improvement could be seen. Nevertheless, it's a pretty decent set of numbers.
Right, and say what price do you think would be a fair price now to pay? 280 was yesterday's close.
I think in the short term, I think the stock has already moved from lower levels of around 245 odd levels to 275, 285. So my sense is anything around 265, 275 should be a good price to accumulate this stock, and probably over the next 1 year one could look at something like around 330, 335. I would definitely look at buying this stock, considering that the triggers are definitely there, but obviously on a slightly lower level.
To remind our viewers that NDTV is the place to be at 11:30 today. You want to watch the special show with Dr. Prannoy Roy, which is the Trump versus Clinton US election battleground. What is it going to turn out to be like? Here are the experts on NDTV Profit at 11:30 today.
Right, just about 5-10 seconds remaining for markets to open. Of course, don't expect a major move today because of the big event of US election and the uncertainty over there. It's just a day away, and that's why probably the street may just wait out for that particular event to play out. Hindalco is on your screen. It's up 1.5%. It's a reaction to Novelis numbers. Ambuja Cement is doing well. ICICI Bank is the top gainer, 2.5% higher. Doesn't really come in as a surprise. Decent set of numbers, and probably that's why you're seeing this sort of a buying to about 5 to 6 rupees higher for ICICI Bank. Hero MotoCorp is 0.5% higher. Hindalco is now up about 1.7% at about 170 odd rupees for Hindalco. BHEL results come out today, 141, 142. Hindalco is up 2, and Sun Pharma is up close to 1%. ITC 255 to 156. That's Britannia for you, 22, 23 rupees decline. Numbers were okay, but on a gross margin front, there was a slight bit of miss. Hindalco, it's not Hindalco numbers, of course, that we are talking about, but it's Novelis. It's a subsidiary of Hindalco. They declared numbers. So that's up about 1.9 odd percent for Hindalco. Hindalco numbers come out this week. Standalone numbers is what they would declare, and that would be important. CET is up about 0.3, about 4 to 5 rupees higher for CET. HSIL, it's a smaller company in terms of the names that we've spoken about. 4,000 shares, close to about 1% or so higher. Sanofi India also declared numbers, but volumes are absolutely low. In fact, they're as good as negligible. Now it's just trying to open 3% higher. AG's Logistics is down close to 1% or so. So that's a name which is doing well right now, 151, 152. EID Parry is up 3%, 268 for EID Parry, 269 rather. That's a results impact. That is something which probably the street has liked at this point of time. We'll just wait and see, for some of the other results to open. But Anisha, meanwhile, any mid-cap names which are looking interesting?
Well, let's pull up a few. We are seeing Aptech is the biggest gainer, 3.5% higher. EID Parry is up 3.5% as well. We just spoke about its earnings. A profit versus the loss in the same period a year ago. So that one's doing well. We also have Heritage Foods. Volume's not very high, but that stock is also up 3%. There is a deal where it sold its retail business to the Future Group, and that stock is doing well. Mercat is up 1.5%. Delta Corp is up 1.5%. PNB Housing Finance continuing its good run, up more than 1%. RBL Bank is up 1%. So those gains are not outsized, but we are seeing some good action in the mid caps as well. On the losing side, we are seeing Manali Petrochem is down 10%. Sunil High Tech is down 10%. So that's the picture in the mid caps. Let's pull up some of the gainers on the BSE 500 as well. And see, some of the jewelry stocks were doing well as well. We had Gitanjali Gems up 2.5%, Patel Engineering is up 3%. Shree Cements has reversed the losses of the day, is up nearly 3%. Ansal API is up 2.5%. There is news that it is looking at rejigging or relaunching its mall in Delhi, Ansal Plaza, which is the first mall that came in Delhi, and a relaunch is lined up. We're seeing Balrampur Chini also higher by 2% or thereabouts. Vishal, do you have a view on Shree Cements? That stock came out with its earnings a day earlier. It was down 3% a day earlier and has recovered that loss. On a 3-month basis, it's gone nowhere. It's one of the most efficient cement companies in the country. On the charts, what's in store for Shree Cements? Samit, do you have a view on Shree Cements?
See, as far as Shree Cements is concerned, this stock has been maintaining its consolidation phase since last 3 weeks. Low side 16,000 has become a very strong base for this stock, and the overall range has been quite narrow, 18,000 on the higher side and lower side 16,000. So if we have to take any action in the stock, then probably we'll wait for a breakout to happen beyond its important resistance of 18,000. Until then, we expect the stock to continue its consolidation phase, wherein the range on the higher side would be 18,000, 18,200, and lower side, as I said, 16,000 would act as a very strong support.
Right. Tata Motors is now up close to 3%. That is an upgrade which has come in from Credit Suisse, which talks about Tata Motors and how GBP depreciation will benefit the company. Vijay, do you like Tata Motors after the recent correction with what's happening on Tata Group? Do you think Tata Motors qualifies as a buy?
Well, I think that whatever is happening in the Tata Group, I would say that it's better to stay away, because I think there are a lot of clouds which are still unanswered, and I'm not sure whether what kind of skeletons are there in the cupboard. Maybe they are not, and maybe they are. So until and unless we have entire clarity on what kind of corporate governance issues were there with the company, and what is the future course of correcting the things which probably Cyrus Mistry was trying to do, or there was something terribly wrong within the system. So again, we are really not sure about what kind of battle is going on in the boardrooms. So I would recommend to stay away from Tata Group stocks as of now. Although I'm not bearish on the Tata Group at all, but I think that it's better to stay away for a week or so, maybe until unless we have enough clarity on what's happening.
Right. How would you look at Britannia numbers? It's down about 2% or so. Volumes were in line, margins were lower. You think it's priced to perfection and the street may not like the numbers or may not reward it for these numbers?
Well, I think we have already seen a run-up in Britannia, and the stock is trading about 3,300 odd. I think the numbers were quite priced in already. So I would say that as you mentioned that very rightly, it's priced to perfection. I think that on the higher side it would be maximum 34.50 as of now. And if at all there is a correction in the stock, if I find it below 3,000, I would be a buyer in the stock.
Right. Vishal, how would you look at Tata Motors? What are the levels to watch out for?
I think Tata Motors had a good correction in the last couple of weeks due to the Tata news, and it has come to an important support, which is around 520, 510, and it is showing that support is working as of now. So I can, may not be an investment call, but maybe a trading call. I can definitely look to buy Tata Motors for a bounce till 545 to 555 in the next couple of weeks.
Right, till 555, and similar would go for Tata Motors DVR as well?
Tata Motors DVR, I would say, yeah, of course, the chart almost looks very similar to Tata Motors. A similar target should be there. Target for Tata Motor DVR would be around 355 to 360.
Vijay, what's your take on pharmaceutical stocks like Aurobindo, Sun Pharma and Dr. Reddy's, part of the Nifty, after the steep drop and a bounce back? Do you think they make good investment bets? Vijay, the question is for you. Do you have an opinion on Aurobindo Pharma, Sun Pharma and Dr. Reddy's? Do you think they are looking like good investment bets now?
Well, I don't think Pharma and IT both we would be able to comment until we have clarity on the US elections. Because again we've been getting feelers from the United States that they would do a price control, and then there would be a lot of problems for Indian pharma companies, because the probability is that they would lose out on a lot of profitability which they get from the US markets and the European markets. So I think that clarity on US elections is very imperative, and what kind of policy action would be there for IT and pharma companies. So as far as pharma names go, I would recommend a stay away as of now, and would wait for further direction from the US elections.
Right, Avinash, the US election results are just 2 days away. What are your expectations? What do you think will happen once the results are out for our markets? Because we'll have the final results when our markets are trading.
No, I think clearly, I think in case of a Clinton victory, my sense is the markets could possibly show a kind of a very significant kind of upside in the next, say, 4 to 5 days. But later on, I think around levels of 8700 to 8800, there could be some consolidation. And I think after the US elections are announced, obviously, I mean, one would obviously look into what kind of policies the US president spells out. But my guess is, I think the chances of a Trump victory look relatively less now, and I think that is something the markets would be quite comfortable with. And I think broadly, this means that at least from a near-term and a medium-term perspective, I think the outlook for India definitely looks good. I think status quo or continuity of reforms would definitely be on the cards.
Right, but will it be an important event? Say whatever outcome happens, if it's in line with the market expectation, you think flows would tend to continue?
I think flows, the way they have been panning out for the last month or so, I think have been on the weaker side, and I think it may not immediately reverse the kind of trend of flows. Clearly, I think what happens on the Fed rate hike is going to be very crucial, and how the US economy picks up, because broadly, I think clearly we have been seeing FIs selling quite significantly on the cash market side. So this may not change immediately, Pankaj. Maybe it would possibly take at least 3 to 4 months before we can see some kind of signal whether this can get reversed and then become sustainable to the Indian markets.
Right, but you think that the flows, the way they have been in the last 15-20 days, it's because of this event?
I think it has added to the uncertainty. I don't think this has been the sole event responsible for the flows getting negative. I think these flows have been turning negative quite earlier, and I think this event has been a culmination point. So obviously one needs to know now going forward, after the presidential election gets over, what kind of business strategy and what kind of policies the Fed adopts. But broadly, I think a rate hike is expected in December, and after that, I think one would like to know on a kind of a full year basis how flows pan out. I would not be surprised that flows would definitely get moderated initially, but then obviously they could pick up in the medium term.
Right. How do you think IT would perform, Vijay, with the US elections, the outcome over there? You think that will be one of the interesting sectors to watch out for?
Definitely, as I mentioned earlier, that IT and pharma both, we have to wait and see what kind of policy action happens in the US. who is the new president, and how they think about the outsourcing issue, and about the jobs in US, and every president, even Hillary and Trump both have been talking about creating jobs in the US, and bringing glory back to the United States. So I would say that until unless we have clarity on that, it will be very difficult to comment. Secondly, if you look at the guidance of all the IT majors in the last 3 to 4 quarters, the guidance has been very tepid. And the addition of new clients has been even bad. So new clients are not getting added. We've seen problems in UK due to the Brexit issue. We've seen problems all across Europe, and that's how new clients are not getting added. US, we are waiting for the the presidential elections and the direction. So if we see a turmoil in the global economy, I doubt that IT companies are going to have an EBIT of 18-20%. So maintaining an EBIT of about 5 to 8% would be a challenge. And if at all some good things come out of United States, I think it would also take some more time before these IT companies go and catch hold of new clients. So it all depends upon what kind of new clientele they're able to gather, in what all domains they're going to they're going to increase their business. We have seen that BFSI has been a major contributor, but again, if you look at the global scenario and the banks all over the world and Europe, the BFSI segment is not happening at all. So I doubt that any kind of major investments are going to flow into the BFSI space. So we have to wait and see. And I think that IT and pharma companies both are going to have a torrid time if at all we have some kind of a bad news flow from US.
Samit, what is your view on Hindalco? You think that's a stock which is in uptrend?
See, clearly this stock has been bucking the trend since last 4 to 5 trading sessions, and it has now broken out from its important resistance of 160 to 163 on a closing basis. So we would expect this outperformance to continue. With a near-term perspective, yes, this stock is clearly heading towards 178, 180 kind of levels. And now on the lower side, 165, 163 seems to be a very strong support. So with a momentum perspective, traders can use dips to get into the stock for a target of 178, 180.
All right. Do you have a view on Engineers India, Vishal? The news that we're getting in is that there is going to be a board meeting next week and they will consider a bonus issue. Engineers India as a stock that has done well over the last 3 months, has given a return of 40%, has been consolidating over the last 1 month. Any view on Engineers India, Vishal?
I would say, as you said, it's been consolidating since the last couple of months, and the lower side of the band in the range is 230 and the higher side is 275. Broadly a sideways market for in the last couple of months. And if you are to buy, I would like to buy near the support of 235 to 240 with a stop loss of 225, and we look at targets of 265 to 275 for trading purpose.
All right. So that's the view coming in on Engineers India. Avinash, from the cement space, we've seen most of the earnings have already come out. Do you think there are some very good compelling bets or investments in the cement space?
I think from the smaller cement pack, I would presume that something like JK Lakshmi Cement looks pretty interesting. I think Mangalam Cement has also come out with very strong numbers. A turnaround has happened in this quarter. So I would presume that south-based companies are definitely well poised, and I think companies which have got good amount of capacities lying idle, where the operating leverage could kick in, could definitely see good amount of earnings growth for the next couple of quarters. And in fact, the second half of FY17 will be a pickup quarter post the monsoon. So definitely, I think Mangalam Cement and JK Lakshmi Cement could be looked at.
All right. Do you have any view, Avinash, on any of the jewelry or gold related stocks or even gold companies that are into gold finance? Any view there? Because the festive marriage season is just going to start. We've seen earnings from Titan were slightly disappointing, but anything that you like in the jewelry or the gold finance space?
I think stocks like PC Jewelers or typically at TBZ, I would presume that these are companies where possibly the risk reward could be better. In fact, in the Titan con call, one thing was positive, that the management was extremely positive about the jewelry business, and in the last few months traction has improved significantly in the domestic market. So broadly this space seems to be looking at customer demand coming again and bouncing back quite positively. So I would presume that TBZ and PC Jewelers could possibly be acquired. I think probably we could see better quarterly numbers from these companies.
Right. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us this morning. But before we go, as always, Vijay, could you start with your disclosures?
Whichever stocks we have talked about, I do not have any personal holdings, but we keep on recommending to our clients.
Avinash, disclosures for you?
Pankaj, whichever stocks we discussed on the show today, our clients may be having positions, but I don't have any personal positions in the stocks.
Samit, what would be your disclosures?
See, I don't have any personal holdings in the discussed stocks, but our clients might be having positions.
Right. And lastly for you, Vishal, what would be the disclosures?
Same here. I don't have any personal positions in the stocks which we discussed today.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us this morning. Always a pleasure.